everyone. My name is Martina Torrissen, and I am a research and development specialist at Zinzino. As I haven't formally introduced myself yet to all of you, I just wanted to start by sharing a little bit about my background. I am a research scientist with a background in nutrition, specializing in lipids and omega-3 fatty acids. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree of science in nutrition, complemented by a PhD in animal and aquacultural sciences. During my undergraduate studies, I developed a keen interest in preventive health and nutrition. So my bachelor thesis focused on the Mediterranean diet and its effects on cardiovascular health, which demonstrates my early commitment to understanding how dietary patterns can positively impact and influence health outcomes. I did my master's degree at Karolinska Institute through Stockholm University, and I spent my research year at the research institute Nofima in Norway, where I chose to delve deeper into the field of lipids and omega-3 fatty acids by conducting research on animal models and cell cultures. And this project laid the foundation for my subsequent doctoral studies, where I investigated the biological functions of some novel, very long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids. And these are a class of omega-3 fatty acids that have received little scientific attention up until recent years, where emerging research, which I have contributed to, shows that they have some unique and distinct biological functions from the well-known omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA. And on the slide here, you can see my publications related to this, one of which has also been nominated for the Paper of the Year award in British Journal of Nutrition. And then you have the cover of my PhD thesis. So that was just a little bit about me. And as a researcher specializing in lipids and omega-3 fatty acids, my aim is to share how crucial the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids is to our health, and how we can proactively manage this balance for better health outcomes. So today, I will delve into the importance of these fatty acids, their roles in our bodies, and the practical steps we can take to ensure that we're maintaining a healthy balance by introducing the Zinzino balance concept. But first, let's start by putting this all into context. Because, as many of you may already be aware of, unhealthy lifestyle behaviors are well-established drivers of the development of several non-communicable diseases, also known as NCDs. However, the impact such behaviors may have on health can vary considerably between individuals. So the question is then, how can we determine if an individual's unique set of lifestyle behaviors are producing disease? Accumulating evidence suggests that our lifestyle choices, such as physical inactivity, poor sleep, and poor diet, are linked with activating the oxidative and inflammatory processes. And these processes are the primary drivers behind the cell and tissue damage that leads to a range of non-communicable diseases, including atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease, central nervous system diseases, such as dementia and stroke, diabetes, and cancer. Non-communicable diseases are in fact the leading causes of morbidity and mortality worldwide. And of the global reported deaths of about 56 million in 2015, 40 million were due to NCDs. That's 70%. Cardiovascular disease accounts for most NCD deaths, with about 18 million people annually, followed by cancers with around 9 million, respiratory diseases with around 4 million, and diabetes with around 2 million. Now, I think we can all agree that this is too much, especially when it is possible to prevent or reduce the risk of these. But in order to do so, we need a proactive approach. And this brings us to the importance of personalized nutrition in disease prevention and health optimization. As we know, non-communicable diseases take many years to develop. So by quantifying and monitoring inflammatory biomarkers in asymptomatic individuals, we can identify early signs of potential health issues and take actionable measures to address these before they continue to progress. And this proactive strategy is not only pivotal in preventing the development of non-communicable diseases, but it also allows for the monitoring of the effectiveness of such preventive measures. Now, personalized nutrition takes this concept a step further by considering individual differences in metabolism that can influence dietary needs, because just as our genetic makeup can render us more or less susceptible to certain conditions, it can also affect how we metabolize different nutrients, including essential fatty acids. So therefore, understanding an individual's unique fatty acid profile through blood tests becomes crucial. And these tests measures the level of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids and provide insights into dietary imbalances and metabolic status. Data from Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have found that health screening increases early disease detection, it increases personal health awareness, and it empowers people to actively participate in their care and consequently have better health outcomes, which makes proactive health screening an indispensable tool in promoting individual well-being and reducing the burden of NCDs on both individuals and on healthcare systems. So this is where the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids emerge as critical players. And this is because the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids belong to two families of fatty acids that are both essential to human health due to the various biological functions they have in our bodies and the fact that we need to obtain them from our diets. However, balancing the ratio is crucial in order to maintain health, namely due to the various biological functions these fatty acids have in our bodies, including in influencing cell membrane structure, cell signaling, gene expression, and the production of bioactive lipid mediators, all of which ultimately influence our health and risk of disease. So the role of omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in regulating inflammatory processes is especially noteworthy. And in general, the omega-6 fatty acids tend to promote inflammation, while the omega-3 fatty acids tend to have anti-inflammatory properties. So therefore, balancing the ratio is crucial for maintaining proper immune function and inflammation levels in the body, which, as I started out stating, is the primary driver behind the cell and tissue damage that underpins the development of non-communicable diseases. And as you can see on the figure behind me here, the metabolic conversion of linolenic acid to arachidonic acid and of alpha-linolenic acid to EPA shares the same enzymes. So this means that the rate of synthesis of arachidonic acid and EPA will depend upon the relative availability of the substrates like linolenic acid and alpha-linolenic acid. So now let's talk about how what we eat influence our health. Because the typical Western diet is characterized by 5 to 15 times higher intake of linolenic acid than alpha-linolenic acid, which means that linolenic acid is the dominant substrate for the pathway we just saw on the previous slide. And this might also explain why the metabolism of alpha-linolenic acid to EPA and DHA appears limited in humans, and why there is the levels of arachidonic acid greatly exceeds those of EPA and DHA in the blood and many cell types. So this imbalance, it shows up in our bodies as higher levels of arachidonic acid compared to EPA and DHA, and it is what we often refer to as the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, or more specifically, the arachidonic acid to EPA ratio. Now, Zinzino actually has one of, if not the largest database on fatty acid profiles on a global scale. And this database provides us with some unique insights. And I just want to state that we are working on making use of this database to analyze the data and have them published. So that's a work in progress. But if we just take a look at this figure here, we can see that the median arachidonic acid to EPA ratio is higher than 10 to 1 in all continents in our database. And it is reasonable to suspect that since this is from voluntarily home-based health testing, this population cohort may include some selection bias, as individuals who engage in this may have a heightened interest in health. So we can therefore reasonably expect these numbers to be even greater in the general population. Actually, when we look at the literature, several studies report the existing ratio in almost all populations to fall within the range of 10 to 25 to 1. While in contrast, a ratio of 3 to 1 is considered optimal for human health. So the rise of non-communicable diseases worldwide therefore actually comes as no surprise, given the pervasive adoption to Western dietary patterns, which are characterized by high intake of processed foods, refined sugars, and unhealthy fats. These diets are excessive in omega-6 fatty acids, found in vegetable oils and processed foods, while they are inadequate in omega-3 fatty acids, which are commonly found in fatty fish, fish oil, and certain plant sources such as flax seeds and walnuts. And this imbalance, it messes with our body's natural way of dealing with inflammation, which can lead to chronic inflammatory conditions and generally chronic inflammation, which is a big factor in many of the diseases that we see on the rise today. But in contrast, diets like the Mediterranean diet, with lots of healthy fats and less processed foods, abundant in polyphenols and polyunsaturated fatty acids, is linked to better health, reduced inflammation, and a lower risk of disease. So it is important to understand how what we eat can either help or harm our health in the long run. And by choosing foods rich in omega-3 fatty acids and balancing our diets, we can take big steps towards staying healthy. Now, in order to better understand this, or make it more complicated, we'll see, I will try to take you through the mechanisms by which these fatty acids exert their pro and anti-inflammatory signaling in order to explain why balancing the ratio is so important. So first off, the omega-6 fatty acids, they play a crucial role in promoting inflammation as part of the body's natural defense mechanism. When tissues are injured or infected, the omega-6 fatty acids, they serve as substrates for the production of pro-inflammatory mediators, such as prostaglandins and leukotrienes. These fatty acids, they are metabolized by some enzymes, which are called cyclooxygenase and lipooxygenase within the cell membranes. So through a series of biochemical reactions, the omega-6 fatty acids, they are transformed into bioactive lipid mediators, which are known as eicosanoids, and they include the prostaglandins and the leukotrienes. The prostaglandins, for instance, they are lipid compounds that play diverse roles in the inflammatory response. They are involved in vasodilation, the recruitment of immune cells, and the modulation of pain and fever. And similarly, the leukotrienes, they are lipid mediators that contribute to inflammation by enhancing the vascular permeability and promoting the migration of immune cells to the site of injury or infection. So by serving as precursors for these pro-inflammatory mediators, the omega-6 fatty acids facilitate the initiation and propagation of the inflammatory response. These mediators recruit immune cells to the site of injury or infection, initiating an inflammatory response to help eliminate pathogens and promote tissue repair. And in this sense, the omega-6 fatty acids are essential for an effective immune response and for maintaining tissue homeostasis. However, it is important to recognize that the balance between the omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids is key to regulating inflammation and to preventing its dysregulation, which can lead to chronic inflammatory conditions and the associated diseases. So now, to better understand this, let's also look at the omega-3 fatty acids' role in this. Because while the omega-6 fatty acids are known for their role in promoting inflammation, the omega-3 fatty acids are known for their contrasting role with their anti-inflammatory properties. One of the primary ways that EPA and DHA exert their anti-inflammatory effects is by reducing the availability of arachidonic acid, which, as we just saw, is a precursor to the pro-inflammatory eicosanoids, within the cell membrane. So by incorporating EPA and DHA into the cell membranes in place of arachidonic acid, they will effectively compete with arachidonic acid for enzymatic conversion. And as a result, there is a decrease in the production of the pro-inflammatory eicosanoids, which are derived from the arachidonic acid, and consequently a dampening to the overall inflammatory response. Moreover, EPA and DHA also directly inhibit the activity of enzymes such as cyclooxygenase and lipooxygenase, which, as we just saw, are responsible for the synthesis of the pro-inflammatory eicosanoids from arachidonic acid. So by interfering with these enzymatic pathways, EPA and DHA can further suppress the production of inflammatory mediators and contribute to a state of reduced inflammation. Additionally, EPA and DHA have been shown to modulate the expression of various genes involved in inflammation, which further contributes to their anti-inflammatory effects. And these omega-3 fatty acids are also known for their ability to stimulate the production of something called specialized pro-resolving mediators, also known as SPMs. And these play a crucial role in resolving inflammation and promoting tissue repair. So, to repeat myself, problems arise when there is an imbalance or excessive intake of omega-6 fatty acids relative to the omega-3 fatty acids. Typically, acute inflammatory responses, which are critical for combating infections or injuries, they are quickly resolved by these SPMs, which are derived from the omega-3 PFAS, EPA, and DHA. But when the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is unbalanced and in favor of the omega-6 fatty acids, then the environment becomes highly prothrombotic and pro-inflammatory. So maintaining a balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is essential in order to prevent an excessive and prolonged inflammatory response, which is characterized by continuous release of pro-inflammatory mediators. And this chronic inflammation can lead to tissue damage, metabolic disturbances, and potentially trigger the development of autoimmune diseases. Now, in addition to being linked with decreased production of arachidonic acid-derived eicosanoids, an increase in omega-3 PFA is linked with decreased production of other inflammatory markers like cytokines, chemokines, acute phase proteins, and adhesion molecules. And as a result of their various interacting anti-inflammatory and anti-resolving actions, an increased intake of EPA and DHA can have therapeutic potential in diseases involving inflammation. And these anti-inflammatory effects of EPA and DHA are likely to extend beyond the classic chronic inflammatory diseases into age-related conditions, which are characterized by low-grade inflammation, such as cardiovascular diseases, metabolic disease, cognitive decline, and sarcopenia. However, the positive effects also involve several processes in addition to inflammation, such as beneficially modifying blood lipids and platelet aggregation, contributing to low risk of cardiovascular disease, as well as a range of other mechanisms. So with that, let's now just shift our focus a bit towards the specific importance of omega-3 levels in our blood. Because while we have discussed the importance of the omega-6 to omega-3 balance, understanding and maintaining optimal omega-3 levels in the blood offers distinct health advantages on its own. So monitoring omega-3 levels in the blood provides a direct measure of our intake and absorption of these essential fatty acids, and optimal omega-3 levels are associated with numerous health benefits, which, where the cutoff values from optimal, intermediate to undesirable are associated with the most to the least beneficial health outcomes, respectively, and especially in regard to cardiovascular protection. So as we have discussed, maintaining a balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is fundamental in managing inflammation, which is a precursor to non-communicable diseases, including cardiovascular disease. However, while the balanced ratio is essential, it is also crucial to recognize the independent value of omega-3 levels in our blood. And notably, EPA and DHA have been extensively studied for their cardiovascular benefits. And I know this figure is extensive, but I just want to illustrate the numerous mechanisms in which EPA and DHA are involved when it comes to cardiovascular protection. And I promise I will not go into details on all of this, but overall they include reducing triglycerides, lowering blood pressure, and preventing arrhythmias, which can lead to heart attacks. And furthermore, beyond cardiovascular health, the omega-3 fatty acids are crucial for brain health and cognitive function. They are integral components of neuronal cell membranes, and they play a vital role in maintaining membrane fluidity, which is essential for proper cell signaling. And studies suggest that higher omega-3 levels correlate with a decreased decline in cognitive decline in older adults and improved outcomes in mood disorders. In addition to these benefits, maintaining optimal omega-3 levels has been linked with various other positive health outcomes, such as better eye health, reduced symptoms of metabolic syndrome, and improved immune response. So while the balance of omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is crucial for reducing overall inflammation, the specific monitoring and optimization of omega-3 levels in our blood can lead to targeted benefits across multiple bodily functions and therefore provides a robust strategy for enhancing long-term health and wellness. By looking at data from the Zinzino database, we see a prevalence of inadequate omega-3 levels and imbalanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratios. Now, this is especially true when we look at individuals who report not consuming omega-3 supplements, or when we group together those who report consuming other brand omega-3 supplements than the Zinzino Balance Oil. But when we look at individuals who report consuming Zinzino Balance Oil, we see that a greater proportion reaches both an optimal omega-3 index and an optimal omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. And this is because this oil is especially formulated for this purpose, with a combination of fish oil and olive oil to protect the fish oil from oxidation and to facilitate enhanced absorption of the omega-3 fatty acids. So therefore, the Zinzino Balance Oil combined with the balance test is our solution to effectively monitoring and optimizing your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, as well as your omega-3 levels. The balance oil is created specifically to help you reach an optimal omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, as well as an optimal omega-3 index. And the balance test will help you quantify and monitor these levels so that you can take actionable measures to adjust these according to your individual needs. So, in conclusion, as we strive for optimal health and well-being, it is clear that achieving a balanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is a fundamental part to this. And recognizing pervasive imbalances in modern dietary patterns, we must proactively address this disparity to mitigate the risk of chronic inflammation and non-communicable diseases. So therefore, with our evidence and test-based solution, we offer a pathway towards optimizing our omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, as well as enhancing our omega-3 levels. Consuming balanced oil, which is a specifically formulated blend of fish oil and olive oil, paired with the balance test, which provides real-time insights into your omega-3 to omega-6 level ratio, as well as your omega-3 levels. It will provide you an important tool for monitoring the effectiveness of this supplement so that you can take actionable part in monitoring your levels and all of this with the overarching goal of optimizing your health for a long and healthy life. And I thought I would show a video, but my timing is up, so yes, that's all. Thank you. Thank you.